Hello and welcome. My name is Wendy Alley. I'm the MLS Executive Officer for Baldwin Realtors, and I'm here today to give you a quick update on fair housing initiatives that we have implemented in the MLS recently. So hopefully this is going to help you avoid any pitfalls of fair housing advertising. So let's get into this. The Fair Housing Act protects people from discrimination when they are renting or buying a home, getting a mortgage, seeking housing assistance, or engaging in other housing-related activities. Who exactly is protected under the Fair Housing Act? The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing because of the following: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, which includes gender identity and sexual orientation, familial status, or disability. So these are all protected classes under the Fair Housing Act, and these need to be somewhat in the back of your mind, just aware that this is what is protected under that Fair Housing Act once you're creating any kind of advertisement, especially when writing your public remarks in the multiple listing service, which is what we're really going to focus on today. So Realtor Fair Housing Declaration. All realtors agree to provide equal professional service without regard to the race, color, religion, gender, disability, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity of any prospective client, customer, or of the residents of any community. So I'm not going to read this entire declaration, but I do want to focus on this bullet point here that says develop advertising that indicates that everyone is welcome and no one is excluded, expanding my clients' and customers' opportunities to see, buy, or lease property. So let's talk about that a little bit more in detail as far as advertising goes. We have updated this list. This is the current list of words that are unacceptable to use within the public remarks when describing your property, your listing. You can find a complete list of fair housing keywords on the front page of Paragon under MLS Documents, MLS Rules and Regulations Documents, and fair housing keywords. There you're going to find the unacceptable, the questionable, and the acceptable words to use when you are describing your property in the public remarks. So we have updated this list generally to help guide our members on a potential of falling into a fair housing pitfall. So let's take a look at a couple additions to this list. First one is going to be the word families. And first of all, right off the bat, there's nothing wrong with you describing the spacious family room in that listing. That's perfectly acceptable. But what you want to be aware of is that it is not a good thing for you to say this property is perfect for families, or this is great for families. As tempting as that might be, and as perfect as that property might be for a family, when you're saying that, you're really excluding the other classes. So be very sure and be very careful that you are not identifying who you think would be ideal to live in that property or in that listing. The other word that you want to take a look for is the word retiree or retirees or retirement. Now keep in mind, this is permitted to be used only when a complex or development qualifies as a housing for older persons. So if that is the case, if it does meet that requirement, then you can use that word. That's not a problem, but be very careful when you're talking about a home or a condo that you think would be perfect for a retiree or great for someone who is about to retire. So just be very careful of putting anything that you or deciding that this is going to be the perfect person to live here, because then that excludes everyone else besides who you just named as the perfect person to live there. So what we've done with this list, we've created some searches with our data checking software called iCheck. This just means that Baldwin Realtors MLS staff might contact you in the future if we find an unacceptable word in the public remarks that we feel might go against the fair housing guidelines. Please keep in mind that there will be no fine involved, and we will be providing you with some guidance to keep you out of possibly a fair housing lawsuit. So again, you're not in trouble if you get contacted by Baldwin Realtor staff, the MLS staff. We're here to just guide you. So if we do find one of these words or one of those phrases that we just talked about within your public remarks, we'll probably give you a call or we'll send you an email and just ask you to consider rephrasing that particular sentence and make sure that you're not identifying the perfect person to live in that property. So that is really the update of the unacceptable usage words here. Families and retirees are two that we added to that. And we did that actually after doing quite a bit of research and finding that that's not a great idea to suggest who should be living at that property. So let's talk a little bit more about maybe some best practices to use in your advertisement. So before you create your next advertisement, incorporate these best practices to keep your advertisements in compliance with the Fair Housing Act. The first one is what I've been talking about all along. Focus on the property and its amenities, not your ideal buyer or renter. So be sure that you're not saying this type of person would be perfect for this property. That is what you want to stray away from, and just really keep on focus with the property and the amenities that that property has. Do not make statements that have the effect of excluding individuals of a protected class from your advertising initiative. Avoid restricting your advertisements from only reaching certain individuals or audiences by, for example, using platform features that allow advertisers to restrict who sees that advertisement based on certain characteristics like race, religion, or age. If you use pictures of people in your advertisements, make sure the advertisement includes individuals reflective of the population in the area where the advertisement is placed. Include the phrase equal housing opportunity or the fair housing logo in your advertisements. You can find both of these on the National Association of Realtors website, so nar.realtor. You can search the fair housing logo, you can download it, and you can include that in all of your advertisements. Not only will this signify your commitment to fair housing to your audience, but HUD will also consider this language when determining your fair housing compliance efforts. Be familiar with applicable local and state fair housing that may afford even broader protections. So these are just a few of best practices to keep in mind when you are advertising your listings out there to be in compliant with that Fair Housing Act. If you have any questions here for us, you are more than welcome to give us a call. You can call the MLS department direct at 251-270-0328, or you could email us here, mls@baldwinrealtors.com. We're happy to answer any fair housing questions you might have, or anything that you want to question about whether you should have in your public remarks. And of course, we're always here to answer any MLS questions in general, so please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you so much for listening today.